But it's a weird verse to come out and to say, don't grab him by those genitals, you know what I mean?
All of these laws are about having respect for other people, maintaining the other person's dignity. And in this case, whose dignity is this law preserving about the wife who has interfered? Her husband. This is about maintaining her husband's dignity. Even if he's going to lose this fight, she's got to stay out of it. She cannot come to the rescue of her husband.
Yeah, no man wants that.
Well, because it's also done a good job of painting a picture through the whole week about protecting a man's ability to have children.
Yeah, but I think it really, I agree that it's doing that, and it specifically mentions that for that reason. But I also think that the principle of this commandment is that she needs to let her husband fight his own battles. And if she comes to his rescue, then she is cutting off his right hand by saying, this is his power in the world to fight his battles and to protect me. So if I get in there and I do his job, I am taking away his right hand, which is his strength. Even if he loses, she's denying him his strength. And so when it says cut off her hand, I think this is like the eye for an eye, tooth for tooth thing. God is not about maiming people, and that doesn't seem like God's character. So I think what he's saying is the penalty for her committing this crime is something commensurate. What was she actually doing here? She's denying her husband the right to defend her or to fight his own battles.
And possibly denying the other guy the ability to have children. Consider that a son is metaphorically thought of as the right hand of his father. She is taking away her husband's honor and his opponent's future strength.
So something has to happen to her that is similar. In some way, it's taking away her power. And I doubt that it means you're supposed to literally cut her hand off. I mean, I know that's what it says. So I could certainly be wrong. But when it talks about an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, no biblical experts has ever thought that meant you actually gouge somebody's eye out. They say this means that the punishment has to fit the crime. It's restitution. And I think that's what's happening here, is that the restitution involves putting her back in her place instead of in her husband's place. So she's taking power, say, no, take the power away from her, give it back to her husband.
And to the other guy, if possible.
Let's suppose for a second that she actually does grab a man by his privates. Like, what's the restitution for taking away a man's ability to have children?
Yeah, I don't know if there's no actual restitution she could do with that.
Which is why the punishment, first reading on the surface, it seems so severe.
Yeah, well,
it's indicating that
she's also humiliating both men.
Right.
She's humiliating the other guy by emasculating him. She's humiliating her husband by emasculating the other guy, because that emasculates him too.
A fair fire's fighting off.
Yeah, and I can't think of any way that she can really give restitution for that. I mean, if she permanently maims him,
there is none.
Yeah,
there's no way to fix that.
Because I'm just glad we don't live in this culture, because I wouldn't want to live in this culture.
Well, I think
their culture was like, I saw Brian, I'm not marrying your brother and you die. Having a kid with him. Like, and I don't know why that would be forced on anybody.
Well, I think
I understand them wanting to perpetuate that line, but still, I mean, that's really strict. Like, I wouldn't want to be imposed.
No choice. Like, I don't care if you love her. I don't care if she stinks. It don't matter.
It is important to look at the context, the cultural context.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm not saying that the commandment is dependent on culture, but in that culture, if your husband died and you had no children, you're in a bad situation. So somebody has to.
You have no provision.
Yeah, somebody has to provide protection and provision. And it's either going to be your father or your husband's family. And so in this way, God preserves the husband's line. I mean, technically, it's not really his genetic material, but legally it will count as his heir. So his name is carried on that way. And it protects you from people who would abuse you.
Yeah. And I think
and the woman has protection now and security, which would have been like
there would have been no provision for it.
Yeah, it protects both the deceased husband and the woman when you're looking at this in the context of respect and preserving people's honor and dignity. It protects both of them because it preserves his name and it protects her from much worse consequences.
Well, it protects the community too, from like, oh, now we have like so many poor people among us. And now we have these problems we can't resolve. It was solutions to problems before things got out of hand, right? And the proper people providing those things. But I think like the thread that I see is, yes, there's the dignity of the person as the image of God. Like that is really important. But like everybody's dignity is preserved through all these things, which is really, again, we can't understand it. We didn't grow up in a time and place where the value system that we had built around us was the same system. But every one of these things that's commanded is about preservation of life and perpetuating life, giving life to people where life could have been taken away, the ability to perpetuate and produce life, which harkens back to God's character, which is he's the God of life.
Obviously, they had issues with these things. Otherwise, these laws wouldn't even be put into place. I'm still thankful we won't put it in that.
Well, I feel the same way. I'm right.
When I read this to my
Not
daughter,
interested in marrying
it's just
Jacob.
like my one daughter is just like, and that's just impressive.
Yeah, our culture has lots of expectations around male-female relationships that are historically very unusual. Like the whole idea of dating and courtship and romance, that's almost unheard of in history. I think about the only romances we see in scripture are Isaac and Rebekah, Jacob and Rachel, Abraham and Sarah. We have no idea there are some traditions about how Abraham and Sarah became married, but really that's not told in scripture, so we don't really know. Isaac and Rebekah, they had never met each other before they got married.
Totally arranged.
Yeah, it was totally arranged by father's servant.
They lucked out. They had chemistry.
And then Jacob and Rachel, that's the only real romance we see in scripture. And it was total chaos, caused everybody no end of trouble. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with romance in courtship. It's a great thing.
Would have been.
It's just unusual historically.
What Boaz?
Yeah, kind of Boaz and Ruth a little bit, but that's one of the few examples of the levirate marriage that we've got in scripture. We have, as far as I know, we only have two examples in
It
scripture.
seems romantic.
One is Tamar, which was long before Sinai. So you can see that God's commandments were there before Sinai. And the other is Ruth and Boaz. And in both cases, there's a conflict. If you look at all the stories that kind of circle around this topic, because you also have the daughters of Zelophehad. It's not exactly the same thing, but it's closely related. The right thing for Judah to have done, instead of making excuses and saying, well, my two sons died, my other one's too young, what are you going to do? Wait for him? Instead of saying that, he should have gone to one of his brothers and said, hey, you guys have unmarried sons. One of them's going to marry Tamar, and their first child's going to be mine.
And everybody's like, I don't want my sons to die. That's what everybody's thinking, right?
Yeah, and it was the wrong thing because it was actually Judah's wife who was the problem and not Tamar.
Yeah.
So yeah, some of these laws are so foreign to us that they are difficult